It's been a very busy few months for charitable organisations. Foodbank does a wonderful job helping feed Australians, and as busy as they have been recently, it expects very high demand later in the year. I caught up with the Chief Operating Officer of Foodbank New South Wales ACT, John Robertson, for Weekend Edition. So John, what is Foodbank?
Foodbank's an organisation that's been around for 27 years, the largest and most trusted food relief organisation in Australia. We provide food to the charity sector who provide it to people in need. So we work with the likes of the Salvos, Vinnie's, Anglicare, right down to a small community kitchen that might be operating somewhere like Lightning Ridge, Brewarrina, or all those sorts of places. So right across New South Wales and the ACT, and there's one of these, a food bank in every state of Australia.
So when people are getting food from a charity, invariably it's coming from here?
99% of the time it'll be from Foodbank. So if Vinnie's turn up, the Salvos turn up, or anyone turns up, or you go to a local pantry from a charity, chances are the food's come from Foodbank.
How do you get it?
So we work with the food manufacturers, the major retailers and farmers, and they donate product to us that might be getting close to or just past its best before date. But best before is simply a guide to quality, not fit for consumption. And we get all the donors to tell us how long it's fit for consumption, and then we explain to people there's nothing wrong with this food. We've got someone based at Sydney Markets out at Homebush, and we work with the wholesalers out there, and they donate produce, and farmers donate produce to us as well.
A lot of people watching this TV show will know you because of your political background, and you were the head of the Labor Party in New South Wales. How big a difference is a job like this, and how good is it working in a space like this where quite tangibly every day you see someone's life being affected for the good?
I think most people go into politics to make a difference. I was volunteering with Foodbank for the majority of my time while I was in Parliament, and then I started here 3 years ago. Every day you bounce out of bed because every day you know you're doing something good, something positive, and you're making a difference to people's lives. And right now in the middle of COVID, we've seen demand increase by about 50%. That's put pressure on us and challenged us, but we're helping people who thought they'd never need this sort of help before. And suddenly there's that realisation for so many Australians, sadly, that you can so easily find yourself in a circumstance through no fault of your own where food just isn't available.
Yeah, people fall between the cracks, don't they? And you get a whole cross-section of people volunteering as well, don't you? All types.
We do. We have people volunteering who are retired. We used to have corporate volunteers before COVID-19. We have a lot of individual volunteers, and then we also work and look for other opportunities to bring people in to give them a second go. So we were recently running a program in conjunction with Corrective Services where women on day release, so they're transitioning out of jail, would come here and work and pick and pack alongside our volunteers, and they'd be treated no differently. A number of those women subsequently went on to be released, and one came back and kept volunteering after her release. Yeah, and they're the really great things that you can do beyond simply feeding people. You can give people a second chance.
All right, well, let's go and have a look because it's a massive warehouse, and I know that COVID-19 has changed things. I would like to talk more about that. We've got our temperature check. We'll go out there. You've got to spare one of those orange jackets.
I'll grab you one, mate, and we can go out and look.
So John, hive of activity down here. What's going on behind it?
So these are our volunteers. They're here on the floor. They pick and pack orders. So they'll pick and pack an order, and then it'll end up going like this. So we end up with produce that's been rejected because it might be too big or slightly discoloured, or these bananas that we ship down from North Queensland that are simply rejected because they're not bent enough, or they're too bent, or it's not perfect. We ship them down, and then we make sure people are getting access to good quality produce, which is really important.
Because they're perfect. What would have happened to this kind of stuff in the old days, as my kids say?
So it would have ended up getting either for the potatoes ploughed back in the paddock, or with these were just getting buried up in North Queensland because they were rejected, they were buried and gone for good. So it means that instead of that happening, we're now getting good produce, and people who need it are actually getting access to good quality food.
We've been through, unprecedented is a word that's been used a lot, uncharted territories, world wobbling on its axis. This is pretty much a hot point, isn't it, right here, where you see the real impact of what's gone on?
So we see the impact here by the amount of orders that are going out, and that first 2 weeks after lockdown, we watched our demand increase by 50%. It's plateaued off now, and I think that's because of JobKeeper and JobSeeker being so high. We're preparing come September, October, when that gets wound back, as it inevitably will, that we're going to see demand increase massively because the jobs aren't coming back as quickly as they're going to wind back both those payments. That's going to test us again. So we're spending this time planning and preparing to make sure we're ready to go. We're doing that by fundraising because we know donations aren't going to be enough and we have to buy food.
So yeah, it's being artificially insulated, really, heads and by the money, by these payments that people are getting. But as you say, it will be a little bit like stepping off a cliff.
And that's what we think is going to happen. We're just going to fall off a cliff when the payments stop, and everybody keeps saying it, and unemployment's going to continue to rise. It's at the moment people are talking 10, 15%, and the current figures say we're at 6 or 7. If we see unemployment rise to that magnitude and payments cut, we are going to see massive pressure on organisations like ours and the charities we support, having to get more food to people who, for the first time in their lives, are going to find themselves in that situation. And that's going to test us. We think we're up for the challenge, but we do need support from the wider community.
The positive thing to come out of all of this is the amount of people prepared to give, to be there when benevolence is needed. And you see it. How much does it change the lives of the volunteers that come in here?
So we've got volunteers who are volunteering here who, because of COVID, have lost their jobs and they want to give back in a different way. They want to stay active, so they're here on the floor picking and packing orders, or they might be sorting potatoes into bags. That of itself has a huge impact on how they feel about themselves. The great thing about Foodbank is we give dignity to people who are in need, because our charities choose what they want to take, and then people go into those charities and they get to choose what they take home. And it's one of the big differences between us and some of the other food relief organisations, where our primary purpose is to provide quality food to people in need, and that's what we're focused on doing. And that's why we don't just rely on donations, but we purchase food. That's why we're preparing and fundraising so that we can purchase more food, to give people that sense of dignity that because they've lost their job in this pandemic, doesn't mean they should be just tossed aside.
And that's a really important point. There's people in Centrelink lines and, as you say, struggling to put food on the table who never ever would have thought that would ever happen to them. So what is a way, what is the way that people watching this television program can help?
The best way people can help is to go onto the Foodbank website, so it's foodbank.org.au, and donate. Make a donation, because that makes a difference. We know that for every $1 that's donated, we can get out $6 worth of retail value in food. And that will be the greatest thing you can do to help your fellow Australians in these really tough times.
What about the other point, those that are a charity, a registered charity, and they want to know how they can get help from you?
Again, if they're a registered charity, they can go online and they can become a member. There's no cost, and they can order online and they can come and collect, or we will deliver it right across the state and into the ACT, and it's the same in every other state across the country. Get online, you can order, and you can take away what you need. Give people that real sense of dignity, because they can choose what they have to eat.
And if you want to be one of these wonderful volunteers that are behind us working so wonderfully well to help their fellow Australians, you can do that online as well. Thanks for letting us come today, John. It's been a real insight.
Thanks, Tim. It's been great to have you here. Thank you.